Welcome back to the Fertile Faith podcast, where we merge faith and fertility for a journey that is less stressful and more God centered. So, now let me ask you a question, sis. Are you using an app that tracks ovulation? Are you using an app that tracks ovulation? Because if you're relying on ovulation apps alone to tell you when you're fertile, sis, we need to talk. Today, we're breaking down why ovulation apps are not the most reliable fertility tools, the three signs that give you real insight into your body's fertility, how tracking with faith instead of stress helps you understand God's timing, and what women inside of my Fertile Faith course have learned about tuning into their bodies. So grab your tea, your Bible, and your prayer journal. This episode is about to be good. Hola, it's Avi, aka Octavia Steen, natural fertility doula, health coach, and creator of the faith-based business Mother Mindset. Welcome to the Fertile Faith podcast, a podcast that helps women of God who are trying to get pregnant naturally to overcome negative thoughts and balance her hormones so she no longer has to be overwhelmed and consumed by her TTC journey. I'm so glad that you're here, sis. I can't wait to dive into this episode. All right, sis, let me just be frank. Let me be real with you. Ovulation apps, those apps that predict ovulation, they're guessing. They're not predicting. It's false. They are guessing your ovulation, and they take an average of women's cycles and slap a fertile window on your calendar, right? So they take an average of all women and slap a fertile window on your calendar like your body works on a specific timeline, right? Or that your body works on everyone else's timeline. That is what it's doing. It is guessing. But we are fearfully and wonderfully made, right? Your body has its own unique rhythm, and no algorithm can predict exactly what's happening inside of you. So I hope that you can get that. That makes it clear, and you understand why ovulation apps aren't the best fertility tools just based on that. But let's say your app tells you ovulation happens on cycle day 14. But maybe this month your body decides to ovulate on day 16 instead. Maybe you had some stressful things going on during the fertile window. Maybe, you did some heavier exercise and your body's like, oh, let me wait until, she cools down and then I'll ovulate. If you're only following the app, you could completely miss your fertile window. So what should you track instead? And of course, I'm going to give you that. The three fertility signs that actually matter for your fertility journey. So if you want real time insight into your body's fertility, these are the signs to pay attention to. 1, cervical mucus. Your body's natural fertility sign, cervical mucus. Think of cervical mucus as God's built-in fertility indicator. When it changes from dry to, or sticky to egg white and stretchy, that's a sign that your body is getting ready for conception. It's getting prepared to ovulate. There's an analogy that I use inside of my course of an Uber, and just let's rewind story time um, back to Octavia when she first I was a new grad nursing student. I was so excited. I had saved up a lot of money and I was going to move to California. Y'all, the Lord did not have that in the cards for me, but I was not saved and sanctified at that time. So I was dependent on my own plans. And so I went to California and I had an interview in California. And of course, I was Ubering different places because I didn't have a car. I didn't rent a car, I just Ubered. Uber was the new thing. So I Ubered everywhere. And after my interview, I didn't really know about this because Uber was so new. I didn't really know how to use Uber. And I ordered an Uber Uber Black. And if you know, I don't even know if they have that anymore, but Uber Black is basically an upscale Uber, like a premium Uber, like think Black Escalade Uber. And this Black Escalade shows up, and I'm just like, oh, this is fancy. I get in, right? Get into the Uber. They're going to take me back to where I was staying at the time. I get into the Uber and they got snacks. They got bottled water, right? They have an aux cord where I can play my own music. Y'all, I was living it up in this like literally like 10-minute Uber back to where I was staying. But I say all that to say is cervical mucus is like a upscale Uber, right? I call it, the Uber for your husband's sperm. It transports, right? It nourishes. If you have an upscale Uber, you get snacks and you get water. So that cervical mucus is going to help to nourish the sperm, and it helps them get to their destination, just like an Uber does. Helps the sperm get to the destination that it needs to get to. So if you're not tracking your cervical mucus, what are you doing? You're missing one of the biggest indicators of your fertility journey. And so that is cervical mucus. Number 2 sign is basal body temperatures. And this is the way that you confirm ovulation. I know everyone wants to use the ovulation predictor kits, but they don't actually confirm ovulation. So BBT tracking, basal body temperature, BBT, helps you confirm ovulation after it happens. If your temperature rises and stays high, you can be sure that ovulation, it happened, right? So BBT can also reveal even deeper insights. So this is why I look at, my one-on-one clients when I work with them. I'm looking at their cycle, looking at their charts for the past 3 months to see if there are patterns in their BBT chart, to see if there's things that we need to fix, supplements that we need to take, and so on. So BBT can reveal if your luteal phase is long enough for implantation. It can reveal if progesterone is rising like it should. It can reveal if your cycle is being impacted by stress or different, other different health factors. And it's just like having a window of info of what's really happening hormonally. So BBT is that next fertility sign. Uh, Cervical position is the third fertility sign, and this is the physical shift. Um, did you know that your cervix moves? Yes, your cervix moves throughout your cycle. So during ovulation, it's high, soft, open, and wet. Okay, literally, it makes space for ovulation, or it makes space for conception. It's high. I use the analogy, or what's that called? Abbreviation, not abbreviation. SHOW. Can't think of the word right now, but it's soft, high, open, and wet. And so after ovulation, it basically comes down, it lowers, and it firms up. So it's no longer soft, but it's hard. And so checking cervical position along with your cervical mucus, along with BBT, gives you 3 layers of confirmation for your fertility journey, 3 layers of confirmation for ovulation instead of one guess from an app. I hope that made sense. I hope someone caught that. Now, sis, let's talk about how you track. How you track. Because I know the temptation, checking signs obsessively, Googling every twinge, every cramp, every dot on your panties, right? Stressing over temperatures, all of those things. Tracking should never feel like you're striving for something, right? Tracking should never feel like striving. It's not about controlling God's timing, it's about understanding it. That's a word. Instead of logging your fertility signs in fear, I want you to track in faith. I want you to track in faith. I want you to pray before you check your signs. All right. While I'm checking my basal body temperature and I have the thermometer in my mouth and I'm laying in bed, I'm praying. All right. It's going to take my thermometer a minute to beat, so I might as well pray. Right. Pray before you check your signs. Ask God to give you clarity on your fertility journey. Journal what you're learning about both your cycle and your faith during this time. And then release the need for perfection. Release the need, for doing everything at all the time, right? Your cycle will have variations, and that's okay. God isn't just preparing your body. He's not just preparing your body, he's preparing you, right, for this next season in your life. And, I've seen this shift of realizing this information over and over and over inside of my Fertile Faith course. Women come in feeling overwhelmed by TTC tracking. But once they start to learn their bodies and pair it with faith, peace replaces the anxiety. One of my members said, before I felt like I was at war with my body. Now I feel like I'm working with it. And I trust that God designed me to be fertile. And I'm learning to recognize the signs that He built into my body. And that's the goal, sis, to understand and not obsess, to track and not strive, to trust and not fear. So here's what I want you to do this cycle. One, I want you to pay attention to your cervical mucus. When you see egg white consistency, when you see creamy, even creamy consistency, that is your green light. Go grab your husband wherever he's at. Two, start tracking BBT to confirm ovulation and to gain a deeper insight into your cycle because it can tell you a lot. And three, if you're not already inside the Fertile Faith course, I want you to go ahead and check that out. I teach all of this inside of the course. It has the mentorship attached to it where we have monthly challenges. Right now, we're in a challenge for prayer, deeper prayer, and declaring God's promises over our life. And then, I also have the community aspect to it, but the course has I want to say 7 or 8 prayer strategies to use in your fertility journey. And let me tell you, so many of my students, they love, love, love the different prayer strategies and how to apply them to their fertility journey and to their lives. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave the link down below for the Fertile Faith course. But sis, tracking your fertility isn't about following an app. It's about understanding the signs God has placed in your body. And when you do that with faith instead of fear, everything shifts. So I'm praying for you this cycle. Let's check in faith and not in stress. I pray that today's episode was helpful. If it was, please leave a review to help this podcast reach other women of faith who are trying to conceive, and tag me over on Instagram at mother.mindset so I can shout you out. I can't wait to help you pinpoint ovulation and navigate this journey with peace and confidence alongside the Lord. Blessings and baby dust.